Hello, this is Brad Wild, and today we're going to take the Cessna push-pull twin. I believe it's the 337. They don't make this anymore, but Coronado's done a great job of modeling this aircraft. So we're going to take a flight from this little airport down here called Early County up to Heart of Georgia Regional. And the tricky part is going to be this, turning on weather radar. Normally I wouldn't fly in this kind of weather. It's not quite as bad as it is a little bit to the southeast. You can see you've got this front coming through. But I thought it would be interesting to take the flight anyway. I've got real weather in operation. So go over here and I've got grab real weather from the net. And this is the radar that X-plane is showing, and it's moving. So it does change. So we're just going to head up that direction and see what kind of trouble we get into, and see how real weather and SkyMaxxPro work. Turn this off so we can do a little planning here. We've got a VOR here and one up in this direction if we need it. I'm not sure how much of a signal we're going to get on the outbound, but we can certainly try. By the way, this particular airport doesn't have a ramp, and subsequently no scenery. Sorry about that, but I wanted to pick an airport that was in the middle of the storm, so I think I did that. Let's hide our yoke and then get our masters on and get the beacon rolling. You can hear the gyros spool up. Very cool. And full mixture. Props are high RPM. Just a little bit of fuel here. Parking brake, and go ahead and get things started. Looks good. And our rear engine. By the way, this is a noisy airplane if you hear it fly overhead. And we'll put on a taxi light and nav and a notch of flaps. And maybe some lighting for our panel. Has nice post lighting here. Aircraft just seats 4. So we're ready to go. Just dial in our VOR, which is 116.6. And we'll use our Garmin here. There we go. And if you look down here, we can go ahead and dial in our OBS, see if it, yep, there we go. So we'll be heading 60 degrees. All right. You can tell I'm getting texts, can't you? All right, let's turn on our landing light and our strobe. And since this is an uncontrolled airport, I would just use the Unicom frequency to let folks know that I'm taking off from to the northeast. Kind of hear it rattling in the airplane here. So runway 5. Lots of lightning. It's cool how those gears go up. Sorry, I should be concentrating on staying straight here. But it does have a cool gear. And now we'll come back on our props, 2500 RPM. Flaps up. And I'm trimming the nose up. And I'm looking at my needle right here. But we can go ahead and engage our autopilot. And we want it on V-lock. So looking out the window, visibility is limited, raining, coming up on some clouds. So a combination of real weather and SkyMaxxPro, of course both from X Aviation. And here's what the passenger sees. All right, bouncing around a little bit here. 6 miles out from our VOR at 9,000, and I've pulled back on my power to manifold pressure of 20, and I have thinned out the mixture a little bit using the EGT gauge here, and just taking a look out the window. Yeah, really bouncing around there. Doesn't look nearly as bad inside. So as soon as we see this start to gyrate, we'll know that we're close enough to the VOR where we can dial in something new. Bouncing around there, so now we're supposed to have overcast at 11,000, which I'm not seeing. But still, I think the clouds are dramatic and feel realistic. So now we're flying outbound. You can see that the white needle is pointing behind us. And we want to go to Charlie, right? Charlie. Go. And it's identifying this as the southeast, so I'll go ahead and accept that. And we've got a distance of 53 miles before we get there. And I'm going to switch this to GPS. And we're making a slight turn. I hope this is accurate. Let me make sure that I've made this direct and activated it. There we go. You have to watch that when using the Garmin, because if you go ahead and you click GPS and this has not been activated, even though it's there and it's got the magenta arrow, you could be flying off course rather dramatically. So 50 miles to go. So we're not too far out where we need to start thinking about our descent. Again, this is a short flight. Just a quick look out the window. I've got the vertical navigation window pulled up here. It's part of all of this. There's 3 screens here. So I dialed 2,000 feet target altitude, 0 miles before my waypoint Senva. And when this reaches minus 1,000, we can begin our descent. So we will keep an eye on that. Just pull it down here. So pull back on the power, and then let's trim the nose down. By the way, you can continue to watch this. Takes a while to stabilize here. I'll turn off my altitude. Again, I'm trying to get the pitch right. I've got the autopilot back on. Let's see if we can get our navigation back. So that's the way to do it. Go ahead and trim the airplane so that the pitch is where you want it, and then re-engage the autopilot. So we've got a localizer of 109.55. And we'll get that ready to go. So 11 miles out. Slowing the airplane down. Airport diagram. Our ATIS is 119,425.
Heart of George RGNL weather. Wind light and variable, visibility 3, rain. Sky conditions 7,500 scattered, 19,500 overcast, temperature 16, dew point 17. Altimeter 2974.
2974, that looks close enough. And we're coming up on that 2,000 mark. Maybe I was a little too aggressive in my descent because we're still a few miles out. But we can go ahead and hold that altitude, 2,000 feet. You have to watch it when you don't have a target altitude. All right. Then our speed will drop a little bit. One of the things I like about real weather is that you get a much better simulation of bad visibility or poor visibility. The default visibility setting in X-Plane is not very realistic at all. So we're just about 5 miles at that point. I hear some thunder. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and click back to V-Lock and click approach. And our runway was runway 2. So I like to dial that in. Arriving waypoint. And this is our localizers coming across. This is our guide slope here. So we can put our gear down. Taxi light. And full mixture. And then we can full RPM on the prop. Of course, when the throttle's pulled back, you don't get that much of a change in sound. So waiting to pick up the guide slope here. Alright, our guide slope is starting to drop. In other words, we're under it and we're flying into it. Now there's no indication here on our DME how far out we are, but according to our chart, it's about 5 miles out. So it just captured and we're descending now down to our runway. We can come back on the power. Notch of flaps. Passenger view. No turbulence. When you put down your flaps, there's a little bit of float, so you'll see how the nose went down a little bit to compensate. So right on our localizer and guide slope, we want to be about 80 knots, which we are. Full flaps, gear down. Alright, I can see the rabbit out here. So we're right on target. And I've got 2 red and 2 white on my PAPI lights, so the guide slope is right on. Just have a little lightning to fly through. Doesn't look like there's much scenery. So I'm going to go ahead and kill the autopilot. No reverse on this airplane. Alright, since we don't have any place to taxi to, we'll just stop here. And thanks for joining me on this weather-laden flight. So, until next time.